Welcome back. So let's talk a bit about animations. I've made a few animations here inside my code now. So if I do a refresh here, you can actually see animations where the student and the educators and everybody are coming in from different sides, being crazy. And I notice that the different roles, a student here, educator here, an admin here, and that's also an educator. So actually they show different animations depending on what type of role you have. Notice that some come from the side, from the bottom, some from the top. And I'm going to try to show the code for that. Before I do, I want to show where I got this information from, and it's actually pretty simple. Angle IO under docs, right? And here you'll go on advanced and animations, and they have a lot of great things to say about animations. Very cool tutorial on how you can do some basic animations and what you have to do and where you have to place your code. It's not that complex, so we'll do it together this lesson. But you can go there if you want to kind of fine-grain what I'm talking about now. Let's try and go back to the code here. So I've made, first of all, you have to understand to use animations, you have to use a lot of core components like trigger, state, style, transition, animate, and keyframes, and there are others like group and so on and so on. Again, go and read about them in here if you want to dive into more of them. Now I've selected these types right here that I want to work with. The first one is the trigger. The trigger is what's going to stop the animation, what's going to trigger the animation, right? And if we go to the code that actually starts this animation, here you can see I have made something called, in square brackets, the fly in out with an @ in the beginning. That's actually the trigger to explain that whenever you want to show a CP user in this view right here, I want this flying out animation for that trigger, depending on the role of the actual user. Okay, so let's try and go back again here, and here we have the animation flying out, the trigger animation here, and that's how they bind together, these two, right? So we also need to give this guy a state. What type of animation? Because you can pick multiple animations. And here's one state. I say I have an admin state, I have an edu state, and a student state. So how do these different states actually work? Well, I pretty much go in here and define what, by doing the equal sign, I can define what state I want to actually show to the user, right? What I'm doing here is I'm saying if the role of the user is an admin, then you should use this state. That's just what the question mark here means. If this is true, then use this state right here, right? But if it's false, then I can call another statement right here saying, if this is true, then use this. And if it's false, then use this. So I'll either end in the statement admin by ADM or edu or student, STUD. So those are the different states I can turn up with, and they have different names in here. So either you'll do an admin state, an edu state, or an student state. Now, why do we need these? Well, it's because I'm pretty much saying you need to transform yourself from void, being not there, into an admin by translating from the Y position 100%, right? So when I have an admin, let's just go back here. When I have an admin here, he starts 100% below and then he comes back up. So notice here, if I load this, it kind of says, take the Y position, start 100% and go up. You notice that just he popped up there. And I say you need to animate this in 100 milliseconds. That's why it goes so fast. Let's try and say 1000 instead, just to show you once more. Let's try and refresh this. Now he's a bit slower. There we go. So that's how you kind of do a transition for this state from not there to admin. We can also say when you're from admin to void, meaning you're deleted, then you can do the same as an X state. So here it happens that he's going to be thrown 100% to the X position, right? So it's going to be thrown out there. I'm not going to delete him right now. You can try that yourself in the code when you got it. The same for the educator. Then we have added something called 800 milliseconds, and then all of these keyframes right here. So there are different ways to do this. You can go and read the code and the documentation. But I think the important thing is that we have the admin, we have the transition, the state and the transition and the trigger. Those are the most important ones. And then we can kind of do different things here. Let's try the transform with the Y, where we put in 100 pixels here. Let's do it for the admin. Yep, there we go. Let's see what happens now. So notice that now the admin actually ends up 100 pixels lower than he should, because I just changed where he should end up. That's kind of what you can do here with the pixels. So let's end it there. That's all I want to show you for how to use animation. I'll play a bit more with it later, but let's just keep it as this for now. See you next time.